All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Delaware Law School. This is our second of our 5 accepted applicant events this month. We're happy to have you here. My name is Eric Niskern. I am the Director of Recruitment and Diversity Enrollment Initiatives here at Delaware Law School. I'm joined tonight by 2 other members of the admissions team who will be assisting to make sure that we answer all your questions. We have Steve Fadouk, who is our Director of Admissions, and we have Heather Hope Curavilla, who's listed as Delaware Law. So that's who that is. She's our admissions counselor, and they'll be here to assist tonight as well. The topic of the session tonight is financing your legal education, which I know is probably on the top of everybody's mind. You're all admitted to the law school and thinking about all kinds of things, including how to pay for all of this. And so you're fortunate to be here tonight. You've got the experts here who are going to walk you through that process. Before I let them introduce themselves and take it away, I want to do a quick plug for the upcoming events we have for admitted applicants. If you haven't already RSVP'd for them, next Tuesday night at 6 o'clock via Zoom, we're doing an event on our practical skills learning. So we have faculty and students who work in our clinics and externship programs. So we'll talk about those opportunities that exist for you here at Delaware Law School. Next Thursday, March 20th at 6 p.m. again via Zoom, I will be hosting along with our Assistant Dean for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Joseph Ferris, an event where you will get to meet members of some of our affinity groups, our student leaders on campus. We'll talk about what they do here, how they contribute to the community here at our law school, and the opportunities that would exist for you if organizations that you're interested in. And finally, next Friday, March 21st, we have our in-person live community day on campus, where you'll get a chance to meet lots of the people that you're meeting via Zoom this week and next week, as well as other members of the law school community, and actually get to see our campus. So we hope that you will RSVP, and we put a link in the chat that you can use to go and RSVP for those events if you haven't already done so. But we'd love to have you join us for all of those to learn as much as possible about Delaware Law School. Finally, we will leave time at the end of the event tonight for questions. So I do ask that you hold your questions until then. Chances are many of the questions you have will probably be answered during the presentation. But if not, at the end, we will have an opportunity for you to ask your questions. You can either put them in the chat. If you want to ask a question, but you're not comfortable being open about the question, you want to ask it privately, you're welcome to send me a direct message and we can ask the question for you. Or you can raise your virtual hand and unmute and ask the question yourself. But we will leave time at the end for all of you to do that. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to our financial aid team.
Hi, I'm Eleanor Kelly. I'm the Director of Financial Aid at Delaware Law School. I've been worked for Delaware Law School for over 25 years and primarily in financial aid. With me, we also have Turquoise Greenwich Garnett, who is going to introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Turquoise. I'm the Assistant Director of Financial Aid at Delaware Law. I've been at Delaware Law for about 2.5 years, but I've been in financial aid for about 15. So congratulations on your acceptance, and hopefully I'll see you guys again soon.
Thank you, Turquoise. So tonight, what we are going to do is discuss financing your legal education. Let me just share my screen. Give everyone 30 seconds so you can see it. There we go. Okay. As Eric mentioned, the title of this presentation is Financing Your Legal Education. There is good news and there is some bad news about financing your legal education. First of all, congratulations on your acceptance to law school. The next question is, how do you pay for it? And the good news is there is money available to help pay for law school. The bad news is it is likely the funds available are likely to include loans which have to be paid back. I've listed several sources of financial aid that we're going to talk about this evening. They include Delaware Law School, the federal government, outside organizations, and then your own resources. First source is Delaware Law School itself. We have a merit-based scholarship program which is intended to reward the many distinctive academic, personal, professional accomplishments of our incoming students. Scholarships awards are based on LSAT scores, undergraduate GPA, and your overall law school application. They are renewable for up to 3 years for full-time students and 4 years for part-time students, provided that you continue to maintain satisfactory academic performance. You will have been notified of if you are being offered a scholarship at your time of acceptance. In addition, Widener Delaware Law School offers the Widener Scholar Loan Program. This is an opportunity to borrow a private loan through the Widener Scholar Loan Program, which is awarded based on your first year academic performance or your cumulative grade point average. No interest accrues on this revolving loan fund during law school and during the 6-month grace period after you leave law school. The interest on this loan is at 5%, and repayment begins 6 months after graduation. Other sources of financial aid through the law school include our donor scholarships. These are scholarship opportunities provided with funds donated by friends and alumni of Delaware Law School. We have several fellowships that are available: the Walcott Scholar Fellow Program, the Schmutz Fellowship for Corporate and Business Law, and the Domestic Violence Research and Advocacy Fellowship. All of these fellowships and donor opportunities are available on our website, Delaware Law, under donor scholarships and fellowships. Descriptions of the criteria of the donor scholarships is posted on that page. We use a single application for the majority of the scholarships, and you can read the criteria if you choose to on our endowed scholarship page. Our fellowship programs are multiple and varied. Our Walcott Scholar Program is one of gives students in their 3rd or 4th year the opportunity to clerk for a Supreme Court justice, Delaware Supreme Court justice, and the other opportunities are listed on our website. We also participate at 100% in the Yellow Ribbon Program for veterans. Veterans who are eligible for post 9/11 education benefits at 100% will pay zero out-of-pocket expenses for tuition expenses. The federal government is the next source of financial aid and actually is the major source of funding for law students. The federal government offers 2 different distinct loan programs called the Federal Direct Unsubsidized Loan and the Federal Direct Graduate Plus Loan. With the Federal Direct Unsubsidized Loan, this is a non-credit based loan. You have to be accepted into law school to obtain this loan, accepted into an educational program. The maximum amount a graduate student can borrow on an annual basis is $20,500 per academic year. There is no credit check on this type of loan, and there is a maximum aggregate loan limit for law students of $138,500. The Federal Direct Unsubsidized Loan has an interest rate which is fixed annually in June. It is currently 8.08%. The interest accrues on the loan from the date of disbursement. There is a 6-month grace period after you leave school before you begin repayment. The repayment term is 10 years, although there are options to extend the term, and the lender is the federal government. Federal Direct Graduate Plus Loan is a credit-based loan. It is based on eligibility is based on credit history, not credit score. So if you have no or little credit, you can be approved for a Graduate Plus loan. If you have adverse credit, you may need an endorser or a cosigner or to appeal the adverse credit. A student may borrow up to the cost of attendance minus any financial aid, including the unsubsidized loan. Interest is fixed annually and accrues from the date of disbursement, and the current interest rate current interest rate for 25-26 is 9.08%. I apologize for the typo. Other sources of financial aid that students use to finance law school include outside organizations that may offer scholarship, grant, or fellowship opportunities. There is a very good resource called the Access Lex Scholarship Data Bank available at that website or from our outside scholarship page. This data bank is specifically for law students, incoming law students, and graduates. It is a searchable database and has a lot of good information in it. Also, the Financial Aid Office, when we do receive notices of opportunities for students, will post notices in our electronic bulletin boards on campus. Another source, which some of you may have utilized during your undergraduate studies, is a private lender or a private loan. With private lenders, you want to carefully evaluate the repayment terms and the conditions to be an informed borrower. How do you apply for financial aid? The steps are written right here, and we sent you a checklist in your accepted applicant packet when you got that. It includes completing the free application for federal student aid online at studentaid.gov. What the FAFSA does is it determines your eligibility for federal financial aid. It also checks other databases for verification of citizenship or eligible non-citizenship, prior federal loan borrowing status, and overall federal loan debt. The good news this year is that the 25-26 FAFSA opened successfully in October of 2024. The challenges of the 24-25 FAFSA have been resolved, and you should have no difficulties completing the FAFSA successfully if you have not done so already. In addition to that, we have a Delaware Law Financial Aid Data Form. This is an institutional form that provides good information to the Financial Aid Office regarding enrollment plans and loan amounts. That is available on our website and can be completed online. Now, if you're interested in applying for direct loans, how do you know if you're eligible? Well, if you were eligible for federal financial aid previously, and you are a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen, you are not in default on any federal education loans or grants, and you have borrowed less than $138,500 in subsidized and or unsubsidized federal direct loans, then you are likely going to be eligible to borrow through the federal direct unsubsidized loan program for up to $20,500, depending on your prior level of borrowing as a graduate student. In order to apply for the direct loan, you have to do the first two steps, and then you would have to complete a master promissory note. The master promissory note is available at studentaid.gov. You don't indicate an amount on this don't indicate an amount on the MPN. The MPN is a serialized note. It's good for 10 years once the loan has been dispersed upon. If you wish to borrow less than the maximum, you would indicate the amount that you want to request on the Delaware Law data form. If you're interested in applying for a Graduate Plus loan, there are two steps to this process. The first is to go to studentaid.gov under Loans and Grants, select Plus Loans, and then click next to I am a graduate or professional student. You will authorize a credit check and indicate an amount that you want to borrow. Step 2 is to complete an MPN for the Graduate Plus loan. You don't want to do a Graduate Plus loan or apply for a Graduate Plus loan until after May 1, 2025. Now, we say that because the 25-26 application is not available yet. Typically, they're become available in late April, but to avoid frustrations, we suggest that you wait until May 1. Also, you may want to wait until May 1 because you may not have decided how much you want to borrow. Applying early and not knowing how much you want to borrow doesn't do you any favors. We're going to talk about how to determine how much of a Grad Plus, if you're interested in a Grad Plus, you may want to access. If you are concerned, however, about your ability to be credit approved for a Graduate Plus loan, you can request a free credit report at this address. And by free, we mean free. So you can address a free credit report. Adverse credit typically is defined as 90-day delinquencies, bankruptcies, charge-offs, foreclosures. Pretty much that's it. It's unlikely, but possible that you may have some adverse credit. If you do determine that you have adverse credit after checking your credit report, I would recommend to see if you can resolve the adverse credit before applying for a Graduate Plus loan. So how much financial aid can you have? Well, the Financial Aid Department determines a cost of attendance every year. Cost of attendance includes tuition and fees, books, and living expenses for 9 months. You're going to need to evaluate your own budget to determine if you have other resources that you can use to pay for some expenses in order to limit to as much as you can your debt. If borrowing loans, your lifestyle choices will determine or help determine your level of borrowing. What I have listed here is the cost of attendance for a regular division or full-time day student for 25-26. This is hot off the presses. No one but you guys have seen this. We will have it up on our website shortly, but the dean gave me special permission to share it with you guys. Our tuition is based on a credit basis. The per credit basis for 25-26 is $19.50 per credit. As a first-year student, you will take 31 credits. You don't need to worry about that at all. The faculty has already kindly decided what you will take. You will take 16 credits your first semester and 15 credits your second semester. In addition to tuition, you have 2 fees that will be charged to you on your bill, a Student Bar Association fee and a JD program fee. Those are the 2 fixed costs that are listed on this. Other costs are going to be determined somewhat by your lifestyle choices. So the cost of attendance also includes books, food and housing, personal, transportation, and loan fees. Just a note on loan fees, because if you have not borrowed in the past, you may be unfamiliar with what that is. The Department of Education loan programs charge loan fees to students in order to borrow the loans. We include an average loan fee back in the cost of attendance that will negate some of those fees for you. For our extended division students or part-time evening students, the cost of attendance is listed here. Tuition rate is the same for our regular division or extended division students, $19.50 per credit. You will take 23 credits, 12 credits in the fall and 11 credits in the spring. The SBA and the JD program fee, again, are fixed costs that will be billed to you. And then included in the cost of attendance as well is food, housing, books, personal living expenses, transportation. Okay. So part of the goal that you have, or the charge that you have, is to minimize your borrowing. You want to understand the difference between a cost of attendance and your bill. Your bill includes your tuition and fee charges, and if you're living on campus housing. Your cost of attendance is what a student might spend, but not required to spend, but might spend for tuition, fees, and living expenses over the 9-month term. You want to in order to minimize borrowing, we suggest that you begin developing a student budget now and start living like a law student now. That means examining your expenses, determining what you may like to have but may not need to have, particularly if you are using uh, if you're financing your legal education. Okay, the developing a student budget is critical to determining how much you would have to ultimately borrow. If you can, you'd like to plan to live on campus or with a roommate. Many of our students have connected by attending our Delaware Law accepted applicant events. Um, and then lastly, what you want to do is pay off consumer debt, particularly credit cards, if you can, before you start law school. You may not have noticed, but I will point out that there are no credit card debt payments listed in the cost of attendance. Cost of attendance by regulation from the Department of Education can only include current living expenses, not any prior debt payments that you may have coming into law school. So if you can minimize, reduce any kind of outstanding debt, that consumer debt that you have before starting law school, it will make the amount that you feel that you need to borrow less. Okay, guys, I know this is hard to say. Everybody put their faces right up to the screen, but the only way I could get this in was to make it this size. This is a financial aid worksheet, okay? Might make more sense to you looking at this. You can see, you'll be able to see the cost of attendance anytime you want. Well, in a week or so, on our website, okay? But we also have the ability in the financial aid office to help you prepare a financial aid worksheet. What the financial aid worksheet does is shows you your direct bill expenses, what your financial aid is looking like, and if you need to finance, plan on a payment plan, or obtain funding from some other resources, this can help you. So if you take a look at it, and I know your all eyes are better than mine, so I'm just putting my reading glasses on. It's divided into fall and spring. So this example shows you the estimated cost of the credit hour at $19.50 per credit. The two fees, that would mean that the bill for the fall for a regular division student is going to be $31,525. The bill for the spring is going to be $29,575. This example assumes this student has a $26,000 scholarship offer, divided half for the fall and half for the spring. Student is opting to borrow the federal direct unsubsidized loan for the maximum of $20,500. And they have paid a $400 seat deposit, which will be credited to your fall tuition. So then you can see here the subtotal is the amount of federal aid that you have between the unsubsidized loan and institutional scholarship offer and any deposits paid. And then the tuition balance due after the unsubsidized loan and the institutional scholarship is listed at $7,983. From there, you, the student, and perhaps you, the student, and your family will be making determinations on what you need to do to pay for the rest of your tuition and or your living expenses. Okay. Oh, sorry. I forgot. I'm trying to make this, trying to make it roll up and it won't. Keep following it down. So the tuition balance after the unsubsidized loan and the merit-based scholarship could be paid through the use of a Widener University payment plan, which would break your payment down into 4 payments due in August, September, October, and November for the fall. There is a $50 fee for that. Or you may be looking at financing all of your direct costs, which includes your tuition and fees. If you were to borrow a Graduate Plus loan, or if the student in question were to borrow a Graduate Plus loan in the amount of $16,000 for the academic year, $7,661 would disperse for the fall, and the same for the spring. The reason that the gross is listed and the net is listed is because the difference between the two is the loan fees that are charged by the Department of Education. So an $8,000 per semester Graduate Plus loan would cover the cost of tuition in this example and give you a $322 refund that could be used for other expenses for the fall. And then in the spring, because aid is dispersed half for the fall and half for the spring, but you're only taking 15 credits in the spring, so then you would have a refund available to you of $1,228. Now, just to take one more step back, that's not the maximum that you can borrow. The maximum you can borrow with a Graduate Plus loan is the difference between the cost of attendance minus any financial aid. What we're showing you in this example is what your direct costs look like in relation to your financial aid. You could conceivably borrow enough financial aid, Graduate Plus loan, if you're choosing to borrow, to cover your books, to cover your rent, to cover your on-campus housing. This is just as an example, but it's a tool that the Financial Aid Office can use in order to assist you in determining what you may or may not need to finance. Oh, there we go. Okay, so what's next? If you haven't applied for federal financial aid yet, do it. If you haven't completed the FAFSA, you want to make sure that you do so. If you haven't completed the Delaware Law data form yet, you want to make sure that you do so. And your burning question is probably, how and when will I get my award letter offer? Well, you've already been offered an institutional scholarship if you were at the time of acceptance. As I mentioned, the cost of attendance is hot off the press. We just received some of this information yesterday. So we're going to get those letters out to you as quickly as we can. Your award offer letter will be posted on the My Widener portal. We will send an email to you for the initial award letter posting to the email address to which you from which you applied for law school. After your initial award letter offer notification, everything else will go to your Widener email account because that is the university's official means of communication with you. So if you haven't set up your Widener account yet, I would suggest doing so. Because you're also going to get an email with the link and other important financial aid information. Important terms and resources. The cost of attendance or the budget is not your bill from Delaware Law. Remember, tuition is charged per credit for the number of credits that you take. As I mentioned, your first year, you'll take 31 credits if you're a regular division and 23 if you're extended division. You have to get to 90 to graduate. Net tuition and fees is tuition, fees, and on-campus housing minus scholarship or grant financial aid and pending loan disbursements. So I say this because on your bill, you will see a net tuition and you will see a pending financial aid. The Widener University's bursar's office will post an electronic bill for students and send an email about that, usually around June. And you will get an email with a link to your e-bill from the Widener email address. I mentioned our website a couple times. It is a really good resource for incoming students to explore, particularly the financial aid session. Everything that I've talked about today is on that website, as will this slideshow will be posted as well. Not on our financial aid website, on the admissions information page. And I'd like to add that the financial aid staff is happy to meet with students and their families to discuss financing. Appointments are available in person, over the phone, or via Zoom. Oh, we just got somebody.
He just missed the presentation. Thank you, Eleanor. So with that, I want to open it to questions. If you want to stop sharing your screen, Eleanor.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
We'll open questions. I did have a quick question, and there may be others that are asking it, because I wish that I had that worksheet when I was applying to law school. That looked really, really helpful. Is that something they can get from your office or from the website, or how do they access that if they want to use that to kind of figure out their finances before
We
they talk to you?
typically do it when we are meeting with incoming students,
Okay.
as part of the appointment. We certainly, because it has more use if it's not a static conversation. Because so if we have an appointment with somebody, then we usually create one for them. I don't know if we can. I don't think we can pop it up anywhere because it's just too interactive.
Gotcha. Well, I wonder if a student, like we'll be posting this session on our, like you said, on our website, including the slideshow. Even if they were to sort of copy it down and fill it in just so that they are prepared when they come to meet with you, just to get a sense, I would have
Yeah.
found it helpful as a prospective applicant to at least kind of jot down, okay, this is my scholarship, this is the cost,
Well,
just to
you
get
know
an
what?
idea.
Turquoise is better at this than me, but we will try to see what we can do about coming up with, say, a blank JD form, and maybe we
Okay.
can post that. It's just, I don't, um, you
I
know,
think that should be I think that should be possible. It's just you would just have to decide where you want it to go. But I don't think it would be an issue to post it blank for them to be able to put in their own
put
credit,
in
number
their
of
own,
credits and
Mhm.
their own information.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we probably can work on something like that.
Okay. So the financial aid office is going to kill me for asking that, but I thought it's such a great tool. I definitely would have used that as an incoming student. So we have a question in the chat, and then we'll go to, looks like Mr. Elliott has his hand raised from the chat, from the messaging. Somebody asked, are students eligible to receive the Grad Plus loan more than once?
And you can apply for, um, yes, and yes, I think I know what's it being yes. You can apply for a Grad Plus loan, and if you determine that, hey, I'm going to go $20,000. I want to borrow $20,000 in a Graduate Plus loan, and then it gets to be like November, and you go, I didn't borrow enough. Yes, you could borrow a second or subsequent Graduate Plus loan in the same academic year. You just cannot exceed the maximum Graduate Plus loan in an academic year. And then if this is really the question they were asking, can you get one more than 1 year? Yes, you can get one every year as long as the program's available.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Just to add to that, there will be a credit check for each additional year. So when you apply for the first year, they'll run your credit at that point. When you apply again for the second year, they're going to run your credit again. So it is going to be important that you keep your credit, like you don't damage your credit during that time because they are going to run the credit each year that you apply.
That's a very good point.
Yes, thank you. James, did you want to ask your question?
Thank you. Thank you all for taking the time to give all this great information. I have two questions. The first one is about federal Pell Grants. Is that just an undergraduate
It is.
disbursement? Okay, so won't be for law school.
It's not something that you're going to be offered because it's only for your first undergraduate bachelor's degree.
Okay, thank you. And then the second one, looking at the website, and housing is on-campus housing is often put with food, and it looks like it's maybe around 9,000. Is housing a set price? Is there a range of prices per housing that Delaware Law School offers?
Again, this is a yes and no question. I'm going to tell you what the cost is for the dorms. Okay, so housing, Most of our housing is in the form of dorms. The dorms will be next year $3,710 a semester in the fall and the spring. So that's a total of $7,420 for fall and spring. There are apartments also available on campus, and there is a variety of monthly rents. If you have a roommate, most of them you need to have a roommate because they're designed for that. But for most students, if you're thinking of on-campus housing in your first year, you're probably in the dorms because upperclassmen get first dibs on the sky on the apartments. Although it has happened where first year students have ended up in the apartments, but by and large, the dorms are what is available.
And just so everybody knows, the dorms that are available on campus are all single dorms. So if you're living in a dorm, that's your space. You only have a roommate if you're living in the apartments.
Yes.
Those are 2 and 3 person spaces. All of the dorms on campus, I think there's 184 dorms. They're all single dorms. And if you come to Community Day next Friday, you will get to see the dorm. So that's another reason why you should come and take a look. Did you have another question, James?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Jonathan, do you have a question?
I do. Thank you so much again to everyone for doing this Zoom. Very helpful information. My question is, if a student has been offered a academic merit-based scholarship, is that amount set in stone, or is the law school in a position to increase if asked?
You want to do it or I want to do it?
Eleanor's waiting for me to respond. So those are offered by the admissions office. So typically we handle those. Students have requested increases. We rarely will say yes, though, because the way we craft our scholarships, we're not a school that we're hoping to lowball the student. And if they ask, we'll give them more. We sort of start out with our best offer. So it's unlikely that a student would receive an increase. What we've offered you is really the best that we can offer you. You can certainly ask, and there may be extraordinary circumstances where we consider that. But I would say probably 99% of the time when a student requests an increase of their merit scholarship, we're not able to do that because what we've offered you is our best offer.
It's a resource issue, Jonathan.
Thank you so much. That was helpful.
Sure.
But it never hurts to ask. The worst thing that anyone can ever do to you when you ask a question is say no. So never hurts to ask.
That's true. And just as a follow-up, I mentioned donor scholarships. We do not have a lot of donor scholarships that are crafted for first-year students. Most of our donor scholarships are for second and third year or fourth year students. And really it's really because the donors are coming up with criteria for areas of law or interests in law that they want to support. And as a first year student, you don't have any, you have very little experience. You may have a lot of interest, but you have very little experience in an area of law. So that's primarily why I think those scholarships are up for upperclassmen.
I will say too, just a little plug for those scholarships, because I sit on that committee that reviews the applications and makes the decisions. When the time comes and you hear from Eleanor's office that it's time to apply for the donor scholarships, I recommend that you apply for every single one that you apply for, because again,
you're eligible to apply for.
That you are eligible for. Yes, read the qualifications. If you qualify, then you need to apply for all of them. Again, the worst thing that we will do is say no. But I'm always amazed every year how few students take the time to actually apply. And the application, when you see it, it's so simple. It's like name, address, year, maybe 1 or 2 other questions. And we ask you to write maybe 500 words why you deserve anywhere from $1,000 to $25,000. And here's my hint. When the time comes, you've already written it. You've written a personal statement. Look at your personal statement and pick 500 of the words from your personal statement and submit that, because that will probably be a good response to why you're applying for these scholarships. So that's just my plug for the people that are in this room tonight. I fully expect to see all of your names in my booklet next year when the time comes to review for those scholarship awards. And there are quite a few. You can look on our website. There's a lot to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions for Eleanor and Turquoise about the financial aid process that we can answer while you're here tonight?
I just have one thing I wanted to add
Please.
for loans regarding the MPN. I just wanted to make sure everyone is aware there's two different master promissory notes. So if you do the master promissory note for the unsub and you decide to do Graduate Plus, there is a separate one. So don't do the one and think that you're done for both. There are two different ones that you need to complete. So just make sure that you complete them both so that it doesn't hold up processing of your loan.
And so Turquoise doesn't have to call you.
Yes, I will call you and tell you that something is missing. So make sure you do them both if you're using both loans.
And there's a question, actually, I can respond. This is from Noah. Would you be able to link the website where we can see all of the scholarship opportunities? I think I put it in earlier, but I can drop it in again. I still have it up. So give me 1 second. I think that's it. Let me just double check and make sure that was the right site. Yes. So if you look at that website, that's a list of all of the scholarships that you can apply for. Again, most of them, as Eleanor said, are for upper level students. So when the time comes, take a look at that and you'll get notification from the financial aid office when it's time to apply. Take a look at that list. And if you're eligible, please apply. You're welcome. James, you had another question.
Yeah, one last question. Thank you. I see the federal work study program, and looking online, there's obviously you all support us. Do you help us find a nonprofit? Is that kind of something we would look for on our own? Are there positions on campus that get filled? Do they go to upperclassmen first? If you could speak about the work study options, that would be great.
Okay, so for work study, we typically, and we being the financial aid office, do not award work study to incoming students. We will award it to you, but we suggest that you, first of all, our upperclassmen do have a priority. And the reason they have a priority for this funding, because we do have limited funding, is because they have the opportunity to possibly work off campus at a nonprofit, nonpartisan agency and obtaining legal experience. So that's the primary purpose of the federal work study program. So we support that to the best we can. First year students, we don't proactively, you're not gonna see $1,000 work study on every one of your award letters. Okay, it's just not going to be there for a couple reasons. One, the first I just mentioned. The second is that we think it's important for a first year student to understand what kind of workload that they are going to have and prior to making a request for work study. For a first year student, really there's limited opportunities, and because you apologize, don't have a lot of value to a faculty member as a research assistant yet or teaching assistant. In the clinics, you again don't have the kind of experience that they may want or need. So primarily for first year students, what is available is possibly a position in the library. And those library positions, while available, are not, we don't need 50. So if you are interested in a work study, though, and you make a request to us, we have a simple form that you can fill out at the beginning of the academic year, and we will consider your eligibility based on our available funding.
Thank you. Caitlin, you had a question.
Yes, so I was wondering about the MPN for the Grad Plus. Can we do that now, or is that the one we have to wait until May 31st to do?
The application for the Grad Plus is what we suggest you waiting for, and the MPN, quite frankly, because you can do an MPN for a Grad Plus right now. It's just going to float out there because we're not going to get notified or anything like that. At least if you wait until you've made the application, you did it, because you do the application and then you do the MPN. So if you were to do an MPN and then you called our office and say, I did my MPN, can you see it? Nope. We're not going to see it until after we certify a a loan, and we're not going to certify a loan until after the 25-26 application is available.
And to
Okay,
clarify,
perfect.
Eleanor, because I think you, because Caitlin said May 31st, but I thought you
It's
had said
May-
May 1st.
It is May 1st.
May 1st. Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
You know,
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Other questions that people may have about the financial aid process that we can answer? Also, congratulations on being the first group of people to hear tuition. I too found out what tuition is for next year tonight. So I'm glad I came to this event because now I can answer that question when I'm asked.
Mhm.
Yes,
And-
you have a question from Robert.
Yeah,
Hey,
hey everybody. I got here a little late. I'm really sorry for that. I was wondering if we're gonna post a link for the session later tonight. If there's a chance I can watch it.
It won't. It won't be tonight. We will post it probably, if not tomorrow, by Monday at the latest.
Okay.
I definitely won't be tonight, but we will be posting this. It will include. I don't know if you came in during the slideshow or the.
Right at 6:30. I
Okay.
caught for a call at work and I just
Okay,
got it.
that's fine. There's a PowerPoint as well that was part of the presentation, so you'll be able to see that and the video on our website. I would say probably by Monday, just to
Okay.
be safe.
I would say,
Great.
yeah, it'll be there.
Yeah, I don't want to overpromise, but
Yeah, I don't either because
Could
I'm
be
like,
tomorrow.
tomorr's
No,
Friday.
no, it's great. Thanks for hosting
Yeah.
this event though. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
No problem. And Robert, if after you have seen it, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the financial aid office because we'd be happy to answer them for you.
I guess what is there opportunities for direct consultation? Is like
Yeah, we do appointments all the time with students, and they're available in person, on the phone, or via Zoom.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Okay.
Great. Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you. Other questions we can answer? All right, my colleagues in admissions, did I miss anything or forget anything? I think I did. I covered everything. You can certainly reach out to Eleanor or Turquoise at any time if you have questions after tonight. Once the video has been posted, if you watch it again and something is confusing, you're welcome to reach out. I hope that you've learned that both Eleanor and Turquoise are very friendly, very easy to talk to, and really want to make this process as easy as they can. It's not an easy process, but as accessible as they can for all of you. So please reach out if they can be of any assistance to you. Again, I want to do another quick plug for next week. If you haven't already signed up, it's not too late to sign up for events next Tuesday night on our practical skills learning. Next Thursday night, where you'll get to meet our affinity group leaders and learn more about our student community. And of course, next Friday in person, our accepted applicant community day, where you can meet all of us in person, see campus, meet one another, find a roommate like Eleanor had suggested to reduce costs. All of that can be done next Friday, but we hope that you'll join us for any and all of that. And with that, I will let you all go. Thank you so much for coming tonight.